Right. Channel number. Charging is not dead. Okay. This is dead. Hi everybody. Am I visible and audible? Hi Radhe Radhe everybody. Sorry for the delay.
Hi.
Done. Sorry for the late. Am I visible? Am I audible? Are you guys here? Yeah. There was a slight delay that happened. Thank you so much for being patient. Right. Shall we start? Without any further delay, shall we start today? You're done with the yesterday's class, right? 5-year plans and all you have completed. 5-year plans. Naveen, Naman, Hariharan. 5-year plans are done. The topic of 5-year plans is completed now. So yesterday we understood how basically Indian economy progressed, what were our thoughts, right? How Indian planners planned Indian economy, and we tried to understand the rationale behind it. We tried to understand why behind majority of in Indian economic history. And now we will talk about a specific policy called as industrial policy and the topic of industrial policy licensing, after which we will study the topic of new economic policy. So now the question is, why should I study this industrial policy of 1956, right? Because who is that? Katta Madhu. No Telugu will be entertained in the class. Thank you so much for asking, by the way. Okay, so now you might ask me one single question as to why should I study industrial policy of 1956 in specific, and why should I study economic reforms of 1991? The answers are twofold. Number one, there are so many PYQs in the exams that were asked in 2025, right? If I have to tell you, bhar ke questions hai. There are so many questions on this topic. That's the first reason. Second reason, the industrial policy of 1956 is considered as the economic constitution of India. So before I dwell into the topic, I want to show you the PYQs. You don't have to answer anything. I'll just show you the PYQs to help you understand and realize the importance of the topic. Industrial policy resolution created something CGL question. Okay. Economic liberalization question that was asked in CGL 2025. Next question, see, read the following sentences carefully. 1991 reforms, CGL question. Then balance of payment crisis, CGL question, right? Anything else? I've requested that PDF is being provided in a more printable format, like more questions per page. Okay, no, sorry, this is what we can do at this point of time. I can't do beyond this. Thank you so much. Right, see the next question. India had approached the IMF and World Bank in 1991. Again, 1991 economic crisis. Which international organizations played a role in 1991 crisis? Next question. Why Indian government resort to licensing under IPR 1956? One more question. See, World Trade Organization encourages free trade activities, etc. This is also based on liberalization of trade topic. One more question. Economic policy reforms of 1991. Again a question from CGL paper. P in LPG reforms stand for? CGL question paper. If I scroll up again, economic reforms were introduced in CGL paper. FDI is a part of which reform pillar? CGL question paper. Which reform allowed MNCs to come to India? CGL question paper. Mixed economy, CGL paper. Industrial licensing policy, again this is a question from CGL paper. So in this manner, there are so many number of questions. I'll show you the entire PDF, like the last part of the PDF. There are around 45, see, this is on the other topic. So all in all, there are around 50 plus questions from this particular topic alone. See, this is based on 10th December shift number 1. I think this is Delhi police paper, right? There are questions even in Delhi police also. 1991 economic policies. So what started in CGL, the topic continued throughout, and there were questions from this topic even on Delhi police, even in CHSL also. So this topic becomes very important for your exams. Yes, it will be relevant. The opportunity cost of attending the classes is missing a sleep. See, this class is available for your recorded part also, so you can attend it. Right. So in today's class, we will talk about industrial policy licensing, and we will also talk about economic reforms. This industrial policy was introduced in 1956. So by the periods of 1956, Indian government understood and realized that, look, we want to promote heavy industries, because of the first 5-year plan, the whole idea was to promote agriculture. Second 5-year plan, the idea of Indian government was we will promote industries. And when we were promoting heavy industries, etc., now the question is, how will the whole industrial sector work? The idea was that there are certain major public sector organizations, government organizations are there, then there are secondary layer industries, then there would be final third layer micro, medium, small enterprises, and all these enterprises would support each other. For example, this is, let's say, Visakhapatnam steel plant. If there is a steel plant, then you will have smaller organizations that will manufacture boilers. There would be smaller organizations that would manufacture furnace. So these are second level organizations. Third level organizations, probably somebody who could sell coal, or someone who would make bearings, someone who could make nuts, right? All these things. These are called as ancillary organizations. So there is a scope of development of a whole industry together. So the question is, how will this industry ecosystem be built? Who will build this ecosystem? Who is responsible for what kind of activities? Who will guide the entire ecosystem? Who can come and establish new industries? All these are various questions, and Government of India came up with a policy called as Industrial Policy of 1956. Right? So the policy talks about, or in the class basically we have to understand what is the policy, what is the backdrop of the policy, why this policy was brought in. Next we have to discuss about something called as classification of industries. There are so many questions that were asked on the topic of classification of industries. They are asking you what classification is there, what type of industries are there. Then we have to understand what is industrial licensing system. This becomes important. Then we will also study about what is the role of government sector and what is the role of public sector. So this is the objective of our first class. The backdrop is very simple here. See, when India got independence in the year of 1947, by the time India got independence, we did not have any major industries. Whatever industries were there, those industries were established to support British economic policies, or those industries were created to exploit the natural resources of the country. The industries that were created are not capital industries. They were not effective enough to generate employment in this country. Those industries were not enough to promote industrialization of India. All the industries that were there were created only to support British industrial revolution, but not for industrialization of India. So that was a major problem. So the overall policies of British were around extracting raw materials for India, so that India would become a simple consumer market. India would become a consumer market of final manufactured goods. The idea of foreign products consumption in India was ingrained in our blood since ages and ages, right? Yeah, thank you so much. Right. So the whole story, or the whole idea of India being converted into a market of consumption goods, etc., that is the problem. So to solve this, the idea was that we wanted certain heavy industries. There, no doubt there are certain industries, but majority of the industries that were there in India, for example, you could take the example of Ahmedabad. You would have studied in history, Ahmedabad mills strike. The entire region of Bombay, Ahmedabad was known only for mills. Kolkata, mills, cotton textiles, sugarcane. So these basic industries were there, but India did not have iron and steel industry or chemical industries. These industries were not there. They were very limited. So and India also did not have basic reliable electricity, right? Electricity facilities were not there reliable, because if you want an industry, you want a stable and reliable electric power. So electricity was not there, transportation was not there, trade was not fully developed, and India was not ready to manufacture any kind of capital goods. Top of all, we also had a shortage of private capital, and we did not have enough amount of technology. These are various problems for us. Lack of technology, lack of capital, right? Lack of good quality industries, and lack of governmental support. Because of all these things, India lacked with respect to industries. So because of that, Government of India thought, now there are two choices after independence. Choice number one, let private players do whatever is needed. Choice number two, government will step in and government will decide. See, for example, if you want to establish an iron and steel industry, you want a lot of water, land, natural resources. By naturally, you cannot leave all these things 100% to a private sector. You need the support of government, you need the support of public sector properly in place. So what government thought is, we cannot leave everything to the private sector. So we want a mixed economic model where we have public sector and we also have private sector. Both these sectors will work together. You have larger public corporations, larger public companies. The supportive organizations would be private. Slowly, the new supportive ecosystem will expand and the space would be created for new private sector. That was the original idea. So they thought that we will utilize government sector, we will utilize government larger industries, and we will build the entire ecosystem of industries in India. So that was the idea. And the other thing was that they wanted to prevent the concentration of the entire wealth in one section of people. This was the idea, because of which government of India went ahead and they brought in Industrial Policy Resolution 1956. So the aim was simple. You want to guide how India's industry would go, especially in the era of planning, when government would bring in 5-year plans, when government would decide what is right, what is wrong, what is necessary and what is not necessary. In such a scenario, Industrial Policy 1956 is there to give a guideline or to be a guidelight for India's industrialization. Right? So this is the Industrial Policy Resolution, right? No, so you are clear about what is the background now? Are you clear about what is the backdrop of India's industrialization? What is your question here? See, when the class is going on, please don't divert with the questions. What is your question, buddy? Right? Now we will take a look at the objectives of the industrialization policy. This is a PYQ topic. They are asking questions on this topic. Once we finish off the entire topic, we will handle some PYQs also. So what are the objectives of industrial policy? The first objective is to create a socialistic society. What is a socialistic society? According to you, what is a socialistic society? Based on what you know, what is a socialistic society? India economy runs on 3 things: festivals, discounts and EMIs. Festivals is true. Festivals run Indian economy. That's absolutely true. Culture and festivals are closely associated with Indian economic system. What is socialistic economy? Equal growth. The idea of private property is minimal in a socialistic system. Yes, public centric economy, where government or the state has a larger share in majority of the things. State has a determination with respect to majority of the things. That is called a socialistic pattern of society. And the society will focus on welfare. The welfare would also be promoted, would also be handled by government itself. That is socialistic society. And we wanted to have a mixed economy. As I told you, we will have public sector and private sector together. Larger share would be by state-led heavy industries. So at the first level or the highest level, we have state-led heavy industries. To support them, there are certain private industries where you have public and private partnership together. In the next level, at a smaller level, to support these things, we have very small private industries. This was the economic model that India thought about. This was the kind of setup that we thought of. So we wanted state-led heavy industries and we wanted balanced regional development. See, earlier, before industrial policy, before all these things that were there, India's economic regional development or India's regional development was pretty skewed, right? Development was there only in certain specific areas. For example, the regions of Gujarat, Ahmedabad, Bombay, this region was one developed region. A part of Madras region was developed. Kolkata region was okay, it was developed. Because of the developmental vision of Mysore, the kingdom of Mysore, Wadayars and all, Mysore region was partially developed. And because of the success of agricultural revolution, agriculture anyways was not there, by the way. So to be very honest, by the periods of 1956, this was the region that was developed in India. The entire hinterland or the entire interior region of India this was not developed. There were no large industries, there was no economic activity that was going on, there was no trade that was going on. So India's development was not balanced. Only certain regions were there, the other regions were very bad. So industrial policy resolution thought, we want balanced regional development. And when you want a balanced regional development, you should go on and you should establish your industries in multiple places, not just in the same Madras region, same Visakhapatnam region, Mumbai region, Kolkata region. You have to leave these regions. You have to go and establish in Chhattisgarh. You have to go and do it in Jharkhand region. You have to do it in Madhya Pradesh region. You have to build dams in Punjab region. So industrial licensing policy thought of going for a balanced regional development where development is spread across the country, across every places. And they wanted to prevent concentration of wealth in one section of citizens, because by then there were very small groups of families. For example, Tata was already there and there were small groups of families, and government thought at this particular point of time less than 1% of the people of India can invest in these industries. If I allow someone, that might lead to monopolization, or that might even lead to a scenario where these countries tomorrow may not agree for the welfare policies of government of India itself. So considering all these reasons, Indian industrial policy is brought in. So what are the objectives? It is establishing a socialist pattern of society with a mixed economy. You wanted state-led heavy industries, balanced regional development, and they wanted rapid industrialization, because they thought that if we go for rapid industrialization would lead to a lot of job opportunities, etc. Right? Industrialization would lead to employment would lead to poverty alleviation, etc. This was the thought process. So considering all these things, industrial policy was brought in. The first is obviously establishment of a socialist pattern of society, so that there is a reduction with respect to inequalities, right? Next, you wanted to control strategic industries as in, for example, nuclear, or for example electricity, telecommunications, all those industries that are essential and vital for national security of India. All such industries, government thought we should keep them only in the hands of the government. See, today you see Iran and Israel striking each other. There's a war that is going on in Gulf region, despite which Indian petrol pumps are working normally. We have enough amount of strategic petroleum reserves and the shortage is very minimal. The reason, because this is a strategic industry, and government of India, with the vision that something like this could happen, they have built strategic petroleum reserves in India, and that petroleum is more than enough to run this country for a minimum of 2 months. Around 7 to 8 weeks of strategic reserves are maintained in this country. So all those critical sectors that are necessary for maintenance of the country, all those sectors that are necessary for energy security, economic security of the country, government thought, I want to keep these sectors to myself. I can't have any kind of private players coming in. And they wanted rapid industrialization and balanced regional development. So as a part of balanced regional development itself, they went for Bhilai steel plant, Rourkela, Durgapur, all these things in the interior states or interior regions of the country, and the prevention of concentration of wealth. So this was the idea behind this. These are the objectives of new industrial policy. Is this part clear? Why? What is the reason? And what are the objectives? Is this clear? Do you still have any questions over here? Any other doubts? Yes? No? Any questions? No? Great. Now we will understand what is there in industrial policy and what is going on. Okay. The first thing that you have to understand in industrial policy, which they are asking as a question in the exam, is industrial policy decided that I am going to divide industries into 3 categories, right? They thought that we are dividing industries into 3 categories. They said all industries, I am dividing it into 3 major parts or 3 major types. The reason was very simple. that classification is supposed to determine the extent of private player participation. For example, they said all industries will be divided into three parts, A, B, C. And they said in one group it is 100% government, only government, no private player is allowed to come into A category. Then they said B category, where they said there is, let's say, 50% government and I will allow 50% for private. And C category, they said it is 100% private. This is the industrial classification which we have to study now. So there are three types of industrial classifications that happen. They are called as schedules. Okay, these three are called as schedules. There are three schedules: Schedule A, then you also have Schedule B followed by Schedule C. In the exam, they can ask you what is Schedule A, what is B, what is C. They can also ask you which of the following industries are present in Schedule A, which of the following industries are in Schedule B, what industries are present in Schedule C. So this image that is there in your notes, this mind map, is extremely important for you. Yeah, there is a problem with respect to LPG consumption, that is absolutely true. So Government of India today told that give highest priority for domestic LPG consumption and please place a moratorium period of 25 days. That is, for example, if you book a cylinder today, you can't book another cylinder for the next 25 days. So if you want to book an LPG cylinder, please do it. There is a possibility of shortage also if the war does not end, and it seems like the war is not going to end so soon, right? Because I mean, US has literally bombarded the largest Iran's oil depot as well. There were flares of fire that was there on roads. Yes, if this continues to happen, there is a chance of inflation in India. If this continues to happen for another 2 to 3 weeks, then it is a possibility that there could be inflation in India, because if fuel prices rise, fuel prices will determine everything. No, I have not covered any editorial because it is not really needed for SSC exams. For SSC exams, they are not asking you questions based on editorial here. So I did not want to burden you, right? So that's the reason why we are not picking it up. All right. So come back. Industries are divided into three categories. It's okay, no problem. No, it's okay. So industries are divided into three categories: A, B, C. In Schedule A, it is 100% government, there is no private player. A is 100% government, there is no private player. In India, you tell me, okay, let me hide this for a minute. In India, you tell me, what are those list of industries where it is 100% government? Please come up with a list. It's okay, Dharun, no problem. Yeah. Please tell me, what are the industries where it is 100% government today? Think of it. Very good. Atomic, nice. Railways, defense not 100%. Today defense is not 100%, but earlier it was 100% defense. Railways, defense. So that is a list. See, railways, Government of India wanted arms and ammunition, atomic energy, railways, iron and steel, heavy machinery, coal, mineral oil, and aircraft manufacturing. All these kind of industries government thought we will own and we will operate by ourselves. See, these things have changed over a period of time. But in industrial policy 1956, this was the decision, this is a list that they have come up with. And there are two more categories, B and C. B is where you have government and public together. Government will lead, the private industry would follow. The example, chemical industries, fertilizers, road transportation, aluminium production, these are the examples. This is for government and public together, and all the consumer goods were left to pure private sector. So this was one key thing, right? That was one key thing that is there, that was introduced in India as a part of industrial policy. Now someone is asking, right now only atomic is government, else private is also included, right? See, at this particular point of time, India is looking for partners to come up with or to participate even in atomic energy sector also. India has a plan that they are coming up with, which is known as Bharat Small Modular Reactors. As a part of Bharat Small Modular Reactors program, Government of India recently said we are actively looking for private players who could come and install Bharat Smart Modular Reactors, and who could explore nuclear energy within India. The difference between the regular nuclear reactor versus small modular reactor is, see, if I am establishing a regular nuclear reactor, I have to leave out a very large area as a buffer zone so that this radiation spill, if at all happens, the spill would not spread beyond a point. These are the traditional nuclear reactors. They need lot of space, they need lot of expense. But instead of this, government is now, DRDO has recently come up with new reactors which are known as Bharat Small Modular Reactors. So these small modular reactors have very small payload capacity. They don't need large space, they don't need larger investment, and you can establish them anywhere. So this is the sector where Government of India now is actively looking for private participation as well. This list is only that, the list that I am talking is only for industrial policy of 1956, right? So you have Schedule A, then you have Schedule B, then you also have Schedule C. These are important. Please read this. The purpose is very simple. It is only that there is a clear-cut policy guideline. It clearly defines what is the role of the state and what is the role of government, who will do what. This has to be crystal clear. That is the reason government came up with that kind of a policy. So this is about industrial policy classification. Along with that, in the same policy, they wanted to develop small scale industries also. Higher emphasis was also given for small scale industries. The reason was very simple. If you are creating only heavy industry, okay, if you are encouraging and if you are creating only heavy industry would be created, it would be busy, or it would be established only in a city. Cities will be there, then there would be rural to urban one-way migration that is going on. If there is a constant migration, then the load on industrial cities would increase beyond a sustainable point. So Government of India wanted to avoid this one-way rural to urban migration. So they thought, why not we promote small scale cottage industries? Because the idea was that the small scale industries would act as a support to the larger industry. For example, there are heavy industries, but heavy industries could definitely buy smaller things from these small scale industries. Let's say there is a large industry that needs certain amount of nuts, or that needs certain bolts or screws. These could be manufactured by medium small industries, and they could give these things to larger industry. That way, in the rural areas also, if smaller industries are established, there would be employment facility, there would be employment opportunities. This in a way provides urban opportunities in rural areas itself. The same thing is written as a Pura model by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam when he wrote the document Vision 2020. So the idea behind small scale and cottage industries is they wanted to give employment opportunities in rural areas and semi-urban areas, and these things relatively need low capital investment, and it is easy for local entrepreneurship, etc. Examples: khadi, handloom, khadi, all these kind of things. Or it could be candle industries, soap industries. Yes, MSMEs would be helping larger companies. That was the idea. So emphasis was given also for socialist section or socialist type of economy, and with the help of all these things, the larger idea is that we will go for a mixed economical setup. This is Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956. Please see this PYQ. Please solve this question. What was the main objective? Profit maximization, laissez-faire policy, market reforms, right? Growth with equity. And this is a CGL previous year question. So I'm not writing random questions in the classroom and I'm not asking you to solve them. I am showing you the real PYQs itself. Okay. The classification of industries is already completed. We have discussed about the classification. Solve this question. Please read this. Solve this PYQ. IPR created industrial classification into A, B and C. The reason? This was to identify sectors for exclusive state control, joint sectors and private sector operation. What is the answer? Right. When you do this, insert the word because and read it. Industrial policy resolution classified into ABC because you can identify sectors for whatever purposes are there. So A is right, R is right, and R is the correct explanation of A. Very good. Nice. Please do this question now. Please do this question. IPR played a significant role in shaping India's industrial developmental strategy. What is the key feature of this resolution? What is the key feature? It advocated for strong dominance of private sector in all industrial activities. No. It promoted open competitive industrial environment with minimal government intervention. No. It categorized industries into 3 schedules with public sector leading. Right? Nice. Very good. So this was the idea, and in 2025 PYQs there is a doctrine that was asked which is known as commanding heights doctrine. Commanding heights doctrine. Okay, this is a doctrine that was asked. Now I'll draw a small diagram and I'll help you understand this word. Right, let's say this is a hill. Okay, this is a valley and there are multiple hills that are there. There are multiple hills, and let us consider this is a small place where you have a terrorist hideout. This is a small place where there is a terrorist hideout, and you wanted to plan an operation. This is the valley road obviously, and this is a land, right? This is a land, follow up land that is there. This is a terrain map. Okay, this is a terrain map, and at this point where I'm going to use a green marker. I am using the green marker. Green marker is a location where I have terrorist hideout, and this is a land. Now when I want to plan an operation to take on these places, they take on these people, what would be a better route? I will draw 2 to 3 diagrams and I'll ask you. One route is that I will do a land march like this and I will go for an assault. The other route is I will take up this particular route, I will travel and I will plan an ambush like this. The other route is I will split my team into multiple parties. One party would occupy here, I will place some snipers over here, one or two snipers from here. One party would launch an attack from this side, and there would be someone who is sitting over here with the binocular who will guide me party 1 and party 2. I gave you 3 choices. One is violet color, the other is red color, or 2 choices, or 3, right? Violet and red, only 2. Which one would you pick up? Violet or red? What is the better idea? Third, obviously, which means in any kind of activity, if you are occupying heights, if you start occupying strategic locations, and then if you start planning your activities, you will have dominance. So any sector where if you can occupy commanding heights, then you will win. Now based on this analogy, you tell me, what is that sector that is supposed to have commanding heights in Industrial Policy Resolution 1956? Which sector? What is that sector that is supposed to have? No, it's government, yes. Can I say heavy public industries, PSUs? Can I say PSUs, public industries? Yes, that's it. The meaning of commanding heights doctrine is very simple. The meaning is government or public sector will occupy the commanding heights within the economic system, and all those industries that are necessary for national security will be controlled. It will be held by public sector itself. This is called as commanding heights doctrine. And as a part of this, back then energy security was important. Even today energy security is important. So petroleum, electric power, heavy engineering industries, defense manufacturing, all these industries were included in commanding heights doctrine. Yes, PSUs. So in this topic, PSUs are important, and in India there are 3 categories of PSUs: Maharatna companies, Navaratna companies, Mini Ratna companies. And in the exam they can ask you what is what. So this table is important, and who will grant this? It is Department of Public Enterprises. In Government of India there is a department name is Department of Public Enterprises. Hi Tarak, thank you so much. So there is a Department of Public Enterprises. They will grant the status. three are there: Maharatna, Navaratna, Miniratna. They can ask you which of the following what is what in the exam. My suggestion would be try to remember Maharatna companies. You can ignore Mini Ratna companies, the chance of asking is minimal except one or two. For example, you have Airports Authority of India, then you have BDL, etc. You take a look at it, don't give much stress on this, right? The return on investment on remembering all these industries is really minimal, but go through, read this table, go through the table so that you can eliminate if you need anything and if you can handle a question properly. This is about the types of PSUs, and in this entire process, yes, all these things were there. Now see, in this entire process, Government of India introduced one more system known as industrial licensing system. There are questions even on industrial licensing system also. The meaning is simple here. I am the government, I am the prime minister, and I want the country to grow only in a particular manner. For example, there was one great chief minister of India who came up with a slogan, computer hobe na. He said, I will not allow computers in my state, and that marked the downfall of that particular state. If you guys are there, anyone is there from that state, you would know what I'm saying. So government wanted to determine everything. Government wanted to say, this is what I want, only this will be established, only this will be present. So the policy that they came up with to execute this, it is called as industrial licensing policy, where they wanted to tell you, look, if you want to open an industry, you take a license. You want to expand, take a license. You want to do acquisition, let's say we are an organization, we want to buy other organization. So if you want to do acquisition, take a license. If you want to expand production, take a license. For every single thing, no. For every single thing, you have to take a license. This policy is called as industrial licensing policy. Right? This is called as industrial licensing policy. No, it's not Kerala. The policy is called as industrial licensing policy. The purpose was very simple. They wanted to prevent concentration of economic power, etc. But the fact is, this kind of licensing policy, instead of providing power in the hands of private people, this concentrated power in the hands of government, in the hands of bureaucrats, in the hands of yes. So in the hands of government, in the hands of bureaucrats, the power was completely concentrated, because of which the same licensing policy led to lot of bureaucratic hurdles, lot of corruption activities, and over a point there was no interest for any foreign organization to come and establish in India. FDI was not there. Those people who knew how to navigate through the system, only those could come into business. So in a way, entry barriers were created. So entrepreneurial economic ecosystem was completely dismantled and entry barriers were created, because of which even today, if somebody wants to do a startup in India, yet if you take 10 households, 6 or 7 out of 10 households they would still say, why do you want to go for a startup? Why don't you go for a job? So that kind of subservient attitude slowly and steadily crept in Indian society because of these kind of policies. No, it's not Mamata Banerjee, it is Jyoti Basu in West Bengal. It is a long ago story. So this is called as industrial licensing policy. The purpose was that they wanted to guide the industrial development, and they wanted to prevent the concentration of power and balance the regional development. But the idea is that they will decide everything. They will decide how much can you invest. They will decide where is your location, what is your capability, and they will also tell you you have to support this, etc. The problem is this led to multiple paperworks, multiple approvals. Today in 2025, Government of India is still trying to implement, and yes, we are in the process of implementing single window clearance system. Even today in India, we don't have a single window clearance system which is 100% effective. We need to take multiple approvals. The roots go back to these kind of policies. There were entry barriers for people, and there was corruption, rent-seeking behavior. Because of all these things, there were delays, low competition, growth was limited, foreign direct investment was not there. We were not in a position to promote, to create competitive products. All in all, what happened was that, see, this is not completely good, bhai. This is good, this is bad. It has got its own things. Okay. Now let us come back. Because of all these things, ultimately what happened was that we were not in a position to promote exports a lot. We were dependent upon imports. We were not able to promote exports. Everything led to ultimately a balance of payment crisis in the year 1991, and that is exactly when licensing era has ended. And now those who say in the initial periods of independence this is good, please understand, anytime in any kind of a scenario, if state starts acquiring larger amount of power, that will always cause harm to the society, because the intention of the state might be good, the ideology might be good, but the people who are at the helm of the affairs, the people who sit to implement it, majority of them could be ethical, could not be ethical. So if you start concentrating more power in the hands of the state, then the growth of the state would become, it would be at the mercy of people who are sitting at the top. Right? So this is the scenario. This is the whole story of emergence of licensing Raj, and this was ended in 1991. Now please try this question. After you listen to this entire story, please try this PYQ. If you ignore AI now, don't worry. AI will politely ignore your job application later. What happened, Naman? Out of nowhere you went for AI. Kya ho gaya, bhai? We have adapted along with China. Yes, Chinese went for a very good model. Let's be very honest. Chinese products might not have a quality, but their model was good. We have to admit it. We caught the bus a little late, but now we are doing very good. We are doing much better than the Chinese now. There is no doubt about it. Right. So why did Indian government resort to licensing even for expanding existing private sector industries? Why? Because to keep production under government control. Yes. Very good. Please read the next question. Please read the next question. Industrial licensing policy promoted innovation in small scale industries. Okay, partially, let's say it's okay. It provided entry barriers for new firms and created rent seeking behavior. This is also true. It could have been possible in India, definitely, but it will depend on the steps. Right, for this question, how many of you say A, how many of you say B? C is wrong, D is wrong. What do you say, A or B? A, B, A. The answer is B, not A. See, when you want to solve this question, let me tell you, industrial licensing policy promoted innovation in small scale industries. Right, after this, please insert the word because. Because it provided entry barriers for new firms and created rent seeking behavior. Will this make any sense now? When you write the word because, will it make any sense? Yes or no? Does this sentence make any kind of sense when I write the word because? No. Then the answer is R is not the correct explanation of A. Okay. This is how you solve these questions. Right. Please try this. Which sectors were largely excluded from industrial licensing after 1991? See, read the question carefully. After 1991, what could be the sectors? What is the best option? Best answer choice. Alcohol, cigarettes, explosives. See, explosives, eliminate. Defense, eliminate. Textiles, fertilizers. Agriculture, education. So which of the following is a sector? Education is not a business sector. So my answer has to be C. Yes, LPG reforms is right, but defense is not completely excluded. Explosives are not yet excluded, they're still there. Even today in explosives and all, you still have licensing. So I will go for textiles and fertilizers, right? All right. Please see this question. This is a steno question. Read this. See, those people who are preparing for steno, please understand, steno questions are also important. Steno, see the size of the question, high. See the length of the question. This is a 3-liner question. Please read this. You are going to take at least a minute to read this entire question. Please read it. But education is not a sector, no? So I will go for a better answer choice. The regulatory framework adopted by India between 1947 and 1990, often called as License Raj, aimed to direct economic activity. While it had certain positive benefits, what was a significant negative consequence because of this system? Right? What are the negative consequences? First, a rapid increase in quality and global competitiveness. Wrong. Fostering highly competitive market. Wrong. Creation of entry barriers. Right. Reduction in corruption. Wrong. My answer is C. So did you notice that I did not read the entire answer choice, or I did not read the entire option, right? So this is how you handle these kind of questions. The answer is C. Right. Now the other theme that is there was promotion of small and cottage industries. I discussed about this already, nevertheless we will talk about it. In Industrial Policy Resolution 1956, special emphasis was given to small scale and cottage industries. The reason was very simple. They thought that this needs lower capital. It doesn't need a lot of money to establish a small khadi enterprise, and it will give employment, especially rural employment. So Government of India wanted to promote handloom weaving, khadi production, handicrafts, etc., so that you can have rural livelihood and rural betterment. Right? So this is about small cottage industries. See, basically, if you listen to the class, you can revise the entire topic just with the help of these images. I am giving you a whole long notes so that once you read it, one reading is enough. After the class, give one reading to the notes, after which you can revise everything just from the mind maps itself. That is more than enough. Right? Next thing that is there in your exam that they're asking is, there is a committee called as a CARE committee. CARE committee is associated with small village industries or small and medium industries. This they're asking you, which committee has promoted, which committee has supported small and village industries. It is a CARE committee. This they're asking you in the exam, so this becomes important. CARE committee, it was established in the year 1955. Key recommendation was very simple. CARE committee said, you go and develop, promote village and small scale industries, because you have decentralized development, you have labor intensive, which means you can generate more employment and you can also provide for rural economic development. This was the objective, and this is about CARE committee. The criticism is pretty simple. First major criticism is you have License Raj. You wanted to take license everything. License Raj eventually led to Inspector Raj, because any person who would say I am an industry inspector, I am a factory inspector, etc., I am an inspector, I would come and I would verify everything. They would start taking bribes. So this led to a lot of corruption and all. There were entry barriers, because see, if you want so many licensing systems, if you want to establish so many things, then obviously you can't start anything new. For example, when we started Siddhi, we did not get any paperwork done. Paperwork was done at a much later date. Because today, just with the help of one camera, to be really precise, the day when we started Siddhi, the first video was recorded in this phone and it was edited in this very tab which I'm using to teach you. Beyond this, we did not have anything. So just with these two things, we were able to start, because now there are no entry barriers. But if you have entry barriers, that is, let's say if you want to open anything, you want to fill so many papers, you wanted to do so much amount of paperwork, it would obviously create entry barriers. And when there are entry barriers, you don't have competition. It lacks competition. So that was the problem. That was the side effect. Entry barriers were there. Competition was not there. And when competition is not there, you don't get quality products. You don't get good quality products. You don't get better products, which means you will have a lot of market inefficiencies. market inefficiencies would be there, right? So this is a scenario because of which all in all it led to slower growth. So criticism, one, license Raj, which led to bureaucratic delays, government approvals, entry barriers, new people could not come, you could not import a new machine, you could not import a new technology, no new machines, which means you can't innovate, which means Indians were deprived of quality products, and you protected the market because of which there was a lot of inefficiency and there was low productivity. All these things were going on because of which all these are the criticisms of industrial policy 1956, right? So this was the scenario, and this is the final mind map that is necessary for us to do whatever is needed. Kishore 93470, get the hell out of the class. If you have any problem, get lost. Okay, or else shut the F up. Right. Thank you so much for this particular topic. Now we will talk about the next policy. See, industry licensing policy was not CARE committee, not Carve committee. It is CARE committee, not Carve committee. Okay, right. So industrial policy 1956 was completed. The problem is, I explained the entire problem that was there, right? There was no competitiveness. We were not able to export. We were not able to compete with the international market. When these kind of things are there, but at the same time, India was also dependent upon oil. India was dependent upon natural gas. So what the problem is, we are not selling anything outside, but we had to buy a lot of things, which obviously means you can't pay your import bills. When you are not exporting, you don't have money to export. So to import, you can't pay money in the form of dollars, etc. What does that mean? That is leading to a crisis, and the crisis that happened, we call the crisis as balance of payment crisis. So what happened was, over a period of time in India, because of all these kind of policies, especially because of limitations of the industrial policy in 1956, because of excessive regulation, limited competition, inefficient growth, etc., India grew at a point of 3 to 3.5%, and there is an economist who called this growth as Hindu rate of growth. Now this word Hindu rate of growth is not associated with any religion. The economist said, I mean, this is not again my terminologies, and clearly no offense to any particular religion. What the economist said is, what they said is, it is very difficult for Hindu religion to reform. It's a stagnated religion. Similarly, even Indian economy got completely stagnated, and they started to call this as Hindu rate of growth. So Indian economy was growing at a Hindu rate of growth of around 3 to 3.5%. Because of all these things, we saw a crisis. The crisis is known as balance of payment crisis. Now balance of payment crisis, yes. Balance of payment crisis was because of two major reasons. One major reason was that we were not exporting anything. We did not have enough money to export things, or we did not have enough money to buy things. That was one thing. Second thing, very unfortunately, by 1990s, just the way Gulf War is happening now, even in 1990s there was Gulf War. When Gulf War was there, oil prices shot up. On one side, we did not have enough money to pay for the oil. On the other side, there was war that was going on, because of which prices started to skyrocket, right? So when prices started to skyrocket, we did not have enough money to pay back, and all these things led to a crisis known as balance of payment crisis, which means we were not able to pay for our imports, and import bill was much larger than export bill. When this happened, the solution was very simple. We wanted someone to come and give us loan. And what could we do? All we could do was, we could take our gold, we could pledge our gold, we could give our gold to IMF, World Bank, we could put our gold, and we had to bring money. So government of India shipped the entire gold, we pledged gold, right? We pledged all our gold reserves, and we went to IMF, we went to World Bank, and we said, we want loan, we want money. That is a bailout package. That is usually called as bailout package. India took its first bailout package, and the only bailout package in 1991, right? So India took a bailout package. When they gave us the bailout package, IMF and World Bank said, you have to follow certain regulations. You have to change yourselves. We will give you money, But the problem is you are in this position because of certain bad economic decisions that you have taken, certain bad economic policies that are there in your country. Because of those policies you are in this position today. So you have to change yourselves, and that change we call it as new economic policy. The first thing that they did as a part of this was the change or devaluation of rupee. The first major change that was implemented is known as devaluation of rupee. What is the meaning of devaluation of rupee? It's very simple. Before 1991, for example, let us say 1 rupee is equal to $5. Okay, this is a very random example. This is not a right number. If you devaluate, right, if you change the currency value, or let us use today's example itself. Let us consider Indian, let's say 100 rupees is equal to $1, right? If you start devaluating this thing, if you start devaluating rupee, which means you are weakening your rupee. For the same 100 rupees, you will now get $10. This is called as devaluation. What IMF said is, the first thing that you have to do is devaluate your rupee, because you don't have foreign exchange, you are not selling anything, despite which you kept your rupee exchange rate at a much higher value just to protect your economy. You are protecting your economy, you are not allowing imports, you are not exporting anything, so you have to change it. The first thing that was done was devaluation of rupee. And when this thing was done, first advantage that happened to India was India's exports became cheaper. So now we could export more, we were competitive, so we are able to make more money. That was the first thing that was done. That reduced competitiveness, and we had to reduce our imports also, because obviously when you start devaluating rupee, your imports would become slightly costlier, right? So we went for devaluation of rupee, and along with that we went for 3 major reforms, which we call them as LPG reforms. LPG reforms are important. They are asking you LPG reforms in the exam. LPG reforms refers to liberalization, privatization and globalization. In the exam they can ask you what is the meaning of L, what is the meaning of P, what is the meaning of G. Liberalization, privatization and globalization. What is liberalization? It's simple. Earlier government had a lot of control. You had control on almost everything. You were giving licenses. So when I want you to liberalize, the meaning is you reduce your control, remove licenses, and you open up, you give entry, you reduce entry barriers, you bring in tax reforms. This is called as liberalization. So in the exam they are asking you what is L, what does L stands for, which of the following measures are a part of L, these kind of questions they are asking you. So this is liberalization. Then you have privatization that happened. Privatization as in you stop entering into certain things. Government, please don't do certain things. For example, government of India at that point was manufacturing bread. We were maintaining hotels. We were maintaining watches. We were manufacturing watches. So what IMF said is, you please don't do all these things. You open up the space. Let other people come in. So that is called as privatization, where you are reducing public sector role, and you also start disinvesting in some PSUs. There are certain PSUs which you don't really need to invest. Private sector is better at managing these kind of a thing, right? So that is called as disinvestment, and you boost private sector. And then the final part is globalization. Globalization is you allow foreign companies to come and establish in India. You allow foreign direct investment, you allow MNCs to come in, right? This is called as globalization, where foreign companies could come to India, they could stay in India, trade would be liberalized and exports would be promoted. This is called as LPG, and there are 2 people who are behind this everything. One person is Dr. Manmohan Singh, second is PV Narasimha Rao ji. PV Narasimha Rao ji is a Prime Minister. Manmohan Singh was the backbone of these reforms. So this particular duo together came up with the reforms which are known as LPG reforms, right? So this is about LPG reforms. Just a second, let me see the question. I'm sorry for asking the question. I'm a beginner. You're facing problems solving maths. The name is, I'm not able to pronounce your name. I'm really sorry for that. I'll talk to you after the session, right? Once the session is completed, I'll take up the queries and I'll address your query. Not a problem. Please stay online. I'll answer you. So this is about LPG reforms, right? And this LPG reforms were introduced as a part of industrial policy reforms of 1991, right? We call this as industrial policy 1991. And what is a sectoral impact? See, after these reforms were introduced, there are certain sectors that got positive impact and there are certain sectors where there was negative impact. The only sector that faced a negative impact, that sector is agricultural sector. What happened in agricultural sector is, in agricultural sector there was a decline in public investment. Government did not have the space to come and invest in agricultural sector at this particular point of time. So the investment in agricultural sector has come down. So agriculture is the one sector that saw negative impact. Of course, subsidies were declined, but public investment declined, especially in agriculture, in irrigation, in rural infrastructure. This declined. Global markets were opened up. Because of this, agricultural sector had negative impact. But agriculture was one sector that we still keep protecting. Even today, Indian agriculture is protected, which is absolutely necessary, because India has a peculiar problem. The problem of India is, India has got more number of small marginal farmers. There is heavy land fragmentation in India. No farmer, I won't say no farmer, but majority of the farmers do not own more than 1 to 2 acres of land. When they don't own beyond 1 to 2 acres of land, it is difficult for them to do capital investment on the land. For example, it could be drip irrigation, it could be solar power. It is difficult for those farmers to do that kind of investment, because of which Indian agricultural productivity is partially low. So we need to protect our agriculture, we need to protect our farmer. So Indian agricultural sector is more or less protected even today. And that is one major problem, where one bone of contention behind India and United States of America with respect to the latest trade policy, because they wanted to open up our sector. They wanted us to allow their soybean, they wanted us to allow their wheat, etc. That was not acceptable for India. This is what is going on. This is with respect to agriculture. Next is industry. Industry sector, obviously there was a huge amount of positive impact. Licensing was gone, capacity restrictions were removed. Now anybody can produce whatever they want. All production was completely directly proportional to their productional capacity, right? So industry sector was good, services sector was good, foreign trade increased. This is important, especially agriculture is a PYQ question. So this is a sectoral impact that happened with respect to 1991 policy. Do you have any questions in this entire topic of industrial policy resolution and 1991 policy? Do you have any questions? Small about IMF asking India to devalue rupee. Won't the value devalue automatically? No. See, basically you have a fixed exchange rate system and floating exchange rate system. In fixed exchange rate system, irrespective of economy, government, Reserve Bank will decide this many dollars I'll give you for 1 rupee, it is fixed. So that was such a scenario back then. Just starting my GS portion now, what should I do? See, in Siddhi we have two parts of GS. GS 1.0 is what we do in the morning and Astra is what we do in the evening. Here I am dealing with economics and here I am dealing with polity. If you are starting right now, this combination is more than enough. Now, for this particular topic, I'll explain. See, for this particular topic, this is a PYQ document. PYQ document will be provided to you. And in this PYQ document, there are a couple of committees. For example, this committee, 1997, which committee report on small enterprises provided roadmap for reforms. The committee is Abid Hussain committee, which spoke about small industries. There are 3 to 4 committees. Please learn the committees from this document. The document will be uploaded to you after this completion of the class. So please go through the PYQ document. Okay, please do this question. Attempt this question. Question number 23, please attempt it. Document will be posted in Telegram. See, devaluation of rupee is you are reducing the value of rupee. Let us answer the question, then I'll explain. PYQ document will be posted in Telegram at around 8:30 in the evening. Now after the class, I'll ask our team members to post the PDF in the Telegram. Please answer the question. Which of the following was the focus of industrial policy statement 1991? Allowing foreign investment, exit policy for bad units, right? Both 1 and 2, C is right. Now those who asked me what is devaluation of rupee, I'll give you one simple example, you will understand. Case number 1, 100 rupees is equal to $1. Case number 2, 100 rupees is equal to $10. Now there is a watch. There is a watch that was manufactured in India. There is a watch that was manufactured in India. The cost of this watch is 1000 rupees. So in USA, in case number 1, how many dollars would it cost? In case number 2, how many dollars would it cost? Please tell me. You guys are preparing for CGL, so you should be good at mathematics ideally. What is the cost? Please tell me what happens in both the cases. Case number 1, 100 rupees is equal to $1. Case number 2, 100 rupees is equal to $10. What is the price of this watch in India? You have to tell me 1, 2, right? Without that, I can't understand. In the first case, it is $10. Second case, please calculate second case properly. See, the watch is costing you 1000 rupees, which means there are 100 rupees in this, 100 rupees in this, and each 100, so this is $100, right? So this is how you are changing your currencies. You are changing your currencies. In the same scenario, if I go and tell you, if I give you third case where 100 rupees is equal to $0.1. If I say 100 rupees is equal to $0.1, then your price will reduce, right? This is higher price. The third case would be lower price. So devaluating a rupee is you are weakening your rupee, which means you need lesser rupees for dollar. Earlier you need more rupees for a dollar. Now you need lesser rupees for a dollar. Yes, $1. So now you need lesser dollars to buy Indian products. You need lesser dollars. Earlier in this scenario, you wanted more dollars. In this scenario, you want more dollars. But I am weakening the rupee. I am reducing the value of rupee. See, in this scenario, 100 rupees is one full dollar. But in this scenario, 100 rupees is just $0.1, which means I have weakened the rupee. This is called as currency devaluation. When I do currency devaluation, what happens is rupee becomes weakened, but Indian products become cheaper outside, right? This is called as devaluation of currency. I hope this is clear to you. And this is all for today's class. Let us take up a couple of PYQs. Please see this PYQ. Yeah, please do this. Trade policy before 1991. So that our products become cheaper outside, so that our products become competitive. See, India is producing a watch. Let us consider USA market. India is producing a watch. The watch cost is $1. Okay, Indian watch is $1. And there is a Chinese watch that comes at $1/4. Which product would be bought? Obviously Chinese product. So in 1991, we wanted Americans, or we wanted every person to buy Indian products. So we reduced the cost of our products. The value of the currency can be increased or decreased. It depends upon the imports. Okay, today India follows a floating exchange rate system. Okay, I'll tell you. Give me a minute. I'll explain this particular topic in detail. Anyways, you have touched upon it. Let me tell you so that your doubts are not clear. Doubts would be clear. So basically, this 100 rupees is equal to $1. All these things, we call this as exchange rate. We call this as exchange rate. In the world, there are two types of exchange rates that are followed. First exchange rate is called as fixed exchange rate. The next exchange rate is called as floating exchange rate. In fixed exchange rate scenario, Reserve Bank of India, or for that matter any government, the Reserve Bank in India, Reserve Bank, or any central bank, they will decide the exchange rate. So before 1991, it was RBI who used to decide like this. And RBI always used to keep India's exchange rate very high. That is, they used to say 1 rupee or 100 rupees is equal to $1 or maybe $10, $20. They used to keep it like this. The reason was we wanted to have cheaper imports. We wanted whatever minimum imports were there, we wanted to have them cheaper, and we wanted to protect domestic economy. For all these things, exchange rate was always kept higher. So in 1991, what IMF said is, you stop doing this. You weaken your rupee first. You weaken your rupee or you devaluate your rupee, because you are saying that 100 rupees is equal to $100. But in reality, you don't have this much amount of trade. You are not doing such a trade. You don't have this strength. So you weaken it. This is called as rupee devaluation. Today, nobody devalues. Nobody strengthens the rupee. This does not happen. All this is determined by the market itself. So that value would be determined based on the demand for Indian products. So if you want to strengthen the rupee, we want to manufacture good quality Indian products and we want people to buy Indian products, then Indian economy, Indian rupee would become stronger. So today the exchange rate system is called as floating exchange rate system. It is good to see 92.4. Yeah, that's what I am telling you. The value keeps on changing. If it is strengthening, which means there is demand for Indian rupee, there is demand for Indian product, then Indian rupee would be stronger. If it is weaker, which means Indian economy is weaker. But we are an import dependent economy, so both the things are not so good for us. We want to maintain it at a balanced point, because see, if rupee becomes very stronger, that's very good, but you have to pay more dollars and all for buying oil. India again is dependent upon oil. So if you have seen Government of India's policy of energy diversification, today we have ethanol blended petrol, we have electric mobility, we have hybrid mobility. All these things are to reduce dependence on oil, so that tomorrow if India's rupee becomes very strong, when we become industrialized, when we start exporting things, that day it should not dent our economic system. Yes, if the American economy deflation, dollar will, yes, right? So yes, import cost, that is the problem, that India is an import dependent economy, so we should ensure that our energy security is clear in the first place. Only then we can go for extremely stronger rupee, or else we can't go for stronger rupee. And if rupee is not stronger, then economy would not be stronger. So yeah, this is all pretty interlinked. Anyways, so this is for today's class, right? And I think it is Tanishq who asked something about mathematics. Are you still there, Tanishq? Thank you so much. Tomorrow you don't have any class. We have 4 classes a week. Tomorrow you will not have a class. You will have a class on Thursday and Friday again. Thursday, I'll talk to you about fiscal reforms or taxation policies. Thank you so much. Right, please go through the PYQ document. Don't ignore it. The document would be provided to you after the class today on Telegram channel. Right, the same channel from where, or same place where you are downloading the notes, you will get the PYQ PDF also. Regarding RRB from 16th, no idea dear. At this point, we are not tracking RRB yet. We will start discussing about it. Questions, I'm telling you, you will, the place from where you are downloading the notes, you will get the questions at the same place. In the same Astra series folder and Telegram, you will get it. Yes, I'll do it in the next class. I had to do it today, but class was delayed and there are important topics also. So we will do CA roundup in the next class. Probably on Friday, we will do one interesting CA roundup. That will help us. Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Yes. Even yesterday's PYQs will be posted. The PYQ document would be updated. I was just told that it was not updated yet, but it will be posted. In BrahMos, Varun, are you asking about BrahMos? If it's BrahMos, you have one grammar test for 100 questions, right? Yes, Astra series will be completed before prelims. The aim of Astra series is only for prelims, for the PYQ topics, PYQ based topics. See, ideally in the name of PYQ series, what people do is they come up with questions and you solve the questions directly. But I strongly believe that it is not the way, it is not the right manner. Because you don't learn things from PYQs. PYQs are for a student to sit and solve them. So what I'm doing is I'm doing a PYQ series, I agree, but I'm picking a PYQ series and teaching the entire theory that is necessary for PYQs so that you can solve PYQs by yourselves. I didn't get the question. If the guy is still there, please ask the question, I'll answer it. Acha, it is posted. Great. Great. If it is posted, wonderful. Let me see. Let us check it right now. Yes, the PYQ document is already posted. Right. Okay, this is all for today. Thank you and see you all in the next class. Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.